know it's going to be an exciting day for all the students and parents alike because the new academic school year, it begins today. But if you look at the group of kids walking to school on the streets, that group is getting progressively smaller and smaller each year. And the situation has gotten so bad that 49 schools are shutting down this year. And this will happen for quite some time as we have barely seen an uptick in the birth rate this year for the first time in 9 years. This is an issue that affects education and community, and it requires attention from all of us. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Tuesday, March 4th on BEFM, 부산영어방송. Good morning, Wavers out there. Happy new semester. The first day of the academic year. It kicks off today. So congratulations to all the students entering or going back to school. And congratulations to the parents for making it through winter break. It's kind of a bittersweet moment for me as well. Kiddies are back in school. Yay. However, I go back to school too. My first day of teaching officially is tomorrow, my first class. So for everybody who is affected, all the students, all the parents out there, especially parents of kids who are like really young, vacations are really tough, aren't they? Because you got to fill all those hours with activities. But for some students, they're going through an adjustment as many schools are closing their doors or merging with other schools. And this is due to the drop in the number of school-aged children. According to data from the Education Ministry, there are 356,000 children going into the first grade this year. And that's almost a 22% drop from 10 years ago. But the thing is this number will only continue to dwindle, to go down as the birth rate has been on a record low in South Korea for the better part of a decade. What does this mean, though, for the schools? Well, some schools are unable to meet the incoming student quota, and schools have to close their doors or get integrated with other schools. And that's just a cold reality. And as a result, 49 schools are shutting their doors this year, including 2 in Busan, and they both happen to be in Busan Jingu District, which is a fairly central area of our city. And this means that the neighborhoods are really changing as well. With private academies like piano, taekwondo, they're closing their doors as well. And businesses like local supermarkets and pharmacies are pulling their very kid-centric products. In the mid to long term, this affects not only schools, but the communities and society at large. And it is something to consider this day as we all go back to school. All right, now it's time for our text topic. Are you ready? I want to hear all of your stories related to kitchen or food-related accidents or incidents, whatever you want to call them. So assuming that it's not too serious. Oh, I hope it's not too serious. Like, you started a fire or anything like that. So we don't want any of those. Oh, I hope it's not any of those. So any minor 나의 주방 음식 관련된 사고 경험. And yes, I think this one was inspired by my little kitchen mishap over the weekend. I've had many, though. I'll go through some of them. Yes, I had a kitchen mishap where I was cooking. I was deep frying onion rings, 양파링 있죠. Not the 과자 브랜드 말고요. Real onion rings. So I was up Saturday morning. It was like 7:30 in the morning. I was up, just, cooking as I usually do. And I was trying to get, the little, the fried little leftover stuff floating around. So I was scooping that out, putting it into a different container. I moved the oil pot, and then when I put the oil pot down back on the stove, it splashed. That was so stupid of me. First time it happened where it wasn't like where you're frying like 삼겹살 and 이게 튀겨서가 아니라 it was like a big splash of hot oil. It got on my hand, but I do remember reading this. So I remember reading first aid. You're not supposed to put ice on it directly. You're supposed to just in cool water immediately, just douse it, your hand, right? So anyhow, any of these related stories, 혹은 다른 다쳤을 때 에피소드도 좋아요. Not 좋아요 like I'm happy you had an accident, but you can send those in as well. So remember, safety first. That is of utmost importance. You can send in your messages to BFM's live stream live chat on YouTube. Go to the YouTube platform and you can search for a channel. And we have over 121,000 subscribers, so you can be one of them. So go to YouTube, type in BFM or 부산영어방송 to find our channel. Click on the logo and then you can log in and, of course, subscribe while you're there. Also, on your phone, pound 9050 샵 9050. That's going to cost you 100 won. You can send in your messages for free through our KakaoTalk channel as well. To find us, go to 친구 찾기, type in BEFM, and then add us as a friend, right? And then you can send in your messages, your photos as well. Also, the ways you can listen to us on the radio, 90.5, 103.3 FM if you're in Busan. And like I just said, we're streaming live on YouTube as we speak. You can watch at your leisure again. We have 2 apps where you can listen to our program. The BFM app itself, easy to download for free as well. And the Popbang app, we have our wa글와글 segment there. Looking ahead to our Tuesday morning together, kind of feeling like a Monday, we have our usual lineup. Andrew with sports, and then we have Bonnie with the health. For our special interview today, we're going to focus on the politics of a different country today. Not Korea, not the U.S. What's next for Germany? Because there were recent elections, significant political shifts in this major European country. So we're going to talk about this with our expert in hour number 2. So stay tuned for that, and I'll be back with today's headlines. It is now 7:07, and these are today's headlines. Rival parties torn over justice nominees' appointment. The ruling People Power Party, PPP, and the main opposition Democratic Party, or DP, continue to lock horns over whether acting president Choi Sang-mok should appoint Constitutional Court Justice nominee Ma Eun-hyuk. Ex-President Park Geun-hye calls for ruling party unity. Former President Park Geun-hye called on the ruling People Power Party, or PPP, to stay united and fulfill its responsibilities despite challenges from the opposition-controlled political landscape. Heavy snow causes multiple accidents and grounds flights. Heavy snow came down over Gangwon, Chungcheong, and Gyeongsang regions yesterday, grounding 11 flights and 76 passenger vessels, according to the Central Disaster and Countermeasures Headquarters. Trump says tariffs on external agricultural products will begin on April 2nd. U.S. President Donald Trump sent a message Monday local time to U.S. farmers that tariffs on external products will begin early next month, signaling the introduction of new duties on agricultural imports. Zelensky says the end of war is very far away, which outrages Trump. Donald Trump expressed new outrage at Volodymyr Zelensky for saying that the end of the war could be very, very far away, showing a deepened rift between Washington and Kyiv. These are today's headlines. It's time to check in with Sue for Busan Updates. Let's say hi first. Good morning.
Good morning, Catherine.
Hey, so I know that you've been living on your own for a little while, right?
Right, yeah.
So have you had, or maybe back when you were living at home, have you had any minor like kitchen mishaps or accidents?
So back in Canada, I try to bake as much as possible.
Oh, bake.
Yeah, and I was really good at making banana bread. Because, you know, there are like really nice ovens. Like,
yeah.
But that day, I tried to make a chocolate like muffin.
And?
But I ended up burning a little bit Because you know how you use a stick to check and poke to check in the middle?
If it comes clean, it's ready. Yeah.
So it was still like less cooked. So I was like, oh, okay, I need to cook more. But then I went to washroom and then came back and it was like disaster.
Oh my gosh. Oh, burning food. It's quite common, I think. I remember my mom, she told me, oh, I have to go on a trip, so take care of dad, make sure the what is it, the 꼬리곰탕, whatever the thing, the big
the broth. Yeah.
And so she's like, make sure it's on like medium heat and don't burn. And then I was doing something, I forgot, I came back completely burned. It was like so, and you know what I did? I didn't want to get in trouble, so I poured water.
Oh, you did?
Stupidly.
Okay.
This was me in high school. I stupidly poured water back into the broth, thinking that it would be okay.
Right.
And then my dad took one spoonful, and he was like, what is this? And I'm like, sorry, Dad. So,
oh, no.
Yes, I confess, Mom, I burned your 꼬리곰탕. Let's get into our first update for today. This is regarding the aircraft carrier USS Carl Vinson, which entered the Korean peninsula on the 2nd, right?
Right. And the U.S. Navy's first carrier strike group, including the nuclear-powered aircraft carrier USS Carl Vinson, and the cruiser Sunyangham USS Princeton, and the Aegis destroyer, which is 구축함 USS Sturret, arrived at Busan port.
Yes.
And this is the first deployment of a U.S. aircraft carrier to South Korea during Trump's second term.
Yes.
And the purpose of the visit is to reinforce the U.S.'s extended deterrence, 확장 억제 commitment, and reaffirm the combined defense posture of the U.S.-South Korea alliance in order to respond to ongoing threats from North Korea. And during the visit, both navies will engage in activities to enhance cooperation and demonstrate their commitment to peace and stability in the region.
All right. Thanks for giving us an update on this. Next, we've talked about this, that, the entire country, we saw this little bit of an uptick in births. And Busan apparently also seeing at least this temporary increase in the number of births. However, total population declining by over 66,000 over 7 years.
Right. Busan saw a slight increase in births last year for the first time in 9 years. But the overall population continues to decline due to natural decrease, which means 인구자연감소. So there are more deaths than births. And according to Statistics Korea, in 2023, Busan recorded 13,061 births and 26,806 deaths, leading to a record high natural population decline of 13,745 people. And since 2018, the city has lost over 66,000 people this way.
Yes.
And while the national trend is similar, Busan's birth rate has dropped sharply over time. And although 2023 saw a small increase in births, 1.5% compared to 2022, the long-term trend shows a 36.3% drop over the last 5 years and a 75.7% drop since the early 1990s. And some areas like Junggu district recorded only 100 births last year, and many non-metropolitan areas in South Korea are seeing even steeper declines.
Yes.
And looking ahead, Busan's population is expected to fall below 3 million by 2035 and could drop to 2.45 million by 2052. So in short, the slight rise in births last year is a rare positive sign.
Yes.
But it's not enough to reverse the long-term population decline that Busan is facing.
Indeed, we need a long-term plan, and hopefully the numbers will go up in the long term. In the meantime, let's talk about this. Busan is expanding vacant house renovation support to include unlicensed homes. So what is this?
So the Busan Old Downtown 삼복 Road Corporation Council, 부산 원도심 삼복도로 협의체. So the 삼복 Road is like the road located in the middle of the mountains, higher area.
Yes.
Has the council decided to amend local ordinances in 5 districts, 중구, 동구, 서구, Yeongdo-gu and Busan Jingu districts to include unlicensed homes in their vacant house renovation program. And this change will allow renovations of unlicensed homes, which were previously excluded from support due to lack of official usage approval.
Yes.
And the decision comes after difficulties in creating a standard ordinance for all districts. So each district will now adjust their own ordinances to allow these renovations with the owner's consent.
Yes.
And the amendments are expected to be finalized by May.
But remind us, why are these amendments important?
So, because districts like Donggu district, around 60 to 70% of the district's 1,300 vacant houses are unlicensed, and they cannot receive renovation support under current laws.
Sure.
Because they're still under review. And although there is a pending national bill to include unlicensed homes in renovation support, local governments are taking action to address the issue more quickly. And in addition to tackling the vacant house issue, the council is also working on projects to improve connectivity between 4 districts through the 4-district connection paths and linking Yeongdo to Sambok Road via the Yeongdo connection path.
Yes. So hopefully these efforts will make these areas more attractive, places to live and visit as well. Lastly, let's talk about this. The 2025 World Ramen Festival in Busan.
Yes.
In Busan. It's coming in April?
I know. I'm so excited.
Yes.
So the festival will celebrate the rich variety and cultural significance of ramen, bringing together chefs, food enthusiasts, and visitors from around the world. And the event is sponsored by the Ministry of Culture, Sports, and Tourism. And it will be held from April 4th to 13th at North Port Pier 1, Bukang 제1부두. And it's the first time this festival is happening in Busan, and the goal is to attract around 500,000 both domestic and international visitors. And the event will feature exciting things like international ramen cooking contest, a ramen culture exhibition, and a chance to try ramen from all over the world, plus K-ramen experience zone.
So it's not just a Korean like ramyeon, but there will be other types of ramen also. I see. Okay.
And on the opening day, there will be activities like live performances, a children's musical, a Bluetooth movie theater, and even a silent EDM party from 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. And the festival aims to be eco-friendly, so minimizing disposable products and promoting recycling. Busan officials are hoping to see an economic impact of about 500 billion won from the festival and attract more international tourists. And tickets are priced at 10,000 won and can be pre-booked online. And for more details, you can check the official festival website.
Oh, sounds good. Well, thank you for the updates. And of course, we'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
Well, here is your traffic and weather report. It's now time for your traffic report on Suyeong Gangmyeon-daero from Udong to Sandam City. The authorities have a one-lane closed right before the Olympic Dongsan three-way intersection to fix up a manhole. Also congested on the Dongso overpass from Bumnagor ramp to the old Kaegum tollgate. It's looking quite slow on Nakdong-daero from Hadan intersection to Gwaejong intersection. Also backed up on Leunho-Samsung-daero from Byungho intersection to Byungji underpass. So yesterday was a holiday. It's back to normal today. As for the weather, it is currently 3 degrees Celsius in Busan. And it is raining. But strong winds are again blowing, so that means the real field temperatures are going to be, well, it's going to make us feel much colder in the negatives right now. Across the weather, nationwide weather, raining or snowing across most parts of the country. Heavy snow forecast along the eastern coast, up to 30 centimeters in the next few days. So the roads are quite slippery. What does that mean? We got to be careful when we're heading out. This was your traffic and weather.
Are you an early bird? Are you up to date on the news? Are you a trendsetter? For all of the biggest issues from Busan to the world and useful information you need, right here on Morning Wave in Busan.
It's time for News Digest. We have Haley in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, so we were talking about, off air, the kitchen accidents are food-related mishaps, right? So Benny, who says, small accidents like small cuts that I had sometimes, before. Since a knife is sharp, that does matter, though. You know what the worst thing is? When you sharpen your knife.
I'm so afraid. Go on.
I have sliced many fingernails.
Oh.
And then the worst one ever, I sliced.
Oh my God, I can't look at it.
My finger here.
It's fine. I just can't look at it. Her hand's fine.
I still
apart
have
from the
like
bandage.
loss of feeling right here.
You got nerve damage?
Yeah,
lady, that's called nerve damage.
And the thing is, I didn't know what to do, so I saved my piece of flesh and skin. And then I was crying. I didn't know what to do. I was like, what do I do? And then so, the roommate was like, trying to cut off the circulation, right? And then my mom and dad, they used to live across the street. And they came and then they rushed me to, my husband, by the way, almost passed out, so he didn't make it to the ER. So my parents took me to the ER. This is in Korea, when we first came to Korea. And then so we went, and then I had the little piece of flesh. I was like,
Can you reattach
it? And he looked at me like I was the stupidest person on earth. He's like, no, we can't reattach it.
It'll
it's not
grow
big enough.
back.
He's like, don't worry. But Dr. Kim, I do worry. I still have loss of sensation. It's been 15 years. So anyhow, also, my producer's saying.
Why are you getting mad at the doctor is what she was saying.
He looked at me like I was so stupid for bringing it in.
Oh my God.
And I had it like in a little like really clean.
Yeah, you needed to sanitize.
Yeah.
Did you have it on ice?
I didn't have it on ice. Maybe that's why.
Maybe that's why.
He couldn't.
Maybe that's why.
So do you have any kitchen mishaps?
Yes, I have many, but I'm going to give you one. I was so stupid in high school, which is a theme for all of us. And I couldn't heat up soup properly. And it's like one of those 꼬리곰탕 stories yet again. My mom made, I think it was 시래기국, some kind of soup, and she was on a trip, and I was heating it up, and we had a gas stove, and it was kind of a cardigan similar to this. I set my sleeves on fire, like it was on
like
flambe,
fire?
like
oh my gosh!
But it was so synthetic, it actually didn't burn. Like it was just like nylon. I don't know. It was like flame retardant material somehow. So it was like
cashmere.
on fire. Well, clearly not cashmere. Nothing natural.
Yeah.
So I like shook it,
and
it went out, and I was like. Ta-da.
It was a magic show.
It was a magic show. I'm like,
it was on purpose.
All right, dinner and a show for one, I guess.
Oh my God.
I guess.
Speaking of pruso, waivers out there, have you ever burned any parts of like hair?
Oh.
I have burned hair, like bangs. And the worst thing ever.
You do fancy things in your kitchen. I think that's a problem.
I was like showing off, and I was like,
yeah.
And even in front of my family, I want to show them how much hard work I'm doing. So angry about this. And I was like doing this, and then there was a pruso, and it burned my bangs and my eyelashes.
Oh my gosh. That's so dangerous. So we can laugh about it now.
Yes.
But the point is, even for experienced cooks, kitchens can be dangerous. Please be careful.
And by the way, even though we're laughing about it now, it's quite serious.
Right.
Be careful out there.
Yes.
And we want to hear your 달고나 story.
Oh, yeah. So once again, the theme is stupidity. I was like in the second grade. That's when making 달고나 at home is really popular among kids. So it's a sugar. You melt the sugar. Did not realize how hot melted sugar is. Because once again, I was like 8 years old. So I was trying to see if it was done because it takes forever. It's like watching paint dry. So I put my pinky in the pool of melted sugar. And I had like a black, did not know blisters could be black.
Oh.
But then you can't tell mom because
you're
she told me to wait. Yeah, and I didn't. So I was just like, it's fine. Yeah. Let's eat that 달고나. Yeah.
We have VH. Burning hair in Korea is par for the course because of the gas flames. Well, apparently. So I burned my eyelashes. Thank God it wasn't my non-existent eyebrows, or else I'd be like, freaky looking. But let's jump into our news right now. So, we're going to talk about social division in Korea, which has apparently reached a 6-year high.
Right. So this is according to the Korea Institute for Health and Social Affairs.
Yes.
Their report on the assessment of social integration and responses.
Yes.
So they surveyed over 3,000 adults between June and September of last year. So in terms of the social conflict rate, in Korean, that would be 사회갈등도. This is out of 4 points. Respondents rated at 3.04.
Oh.
And this is the highest rate it's ever been since record-taking began 6 years ago.
Oh, so what did people feel that we were kind of like split or divided on? Like on what?
Well, you can just go out to the streets and notice that. Political issues, right? So the most serious issue, according to respondents, was the conflict between progressives and conservatives.
Yes.
And that came to 3.52 points. So regional conflict, also a major factor, followed by employment type, so regular or full-time versus irregular workers. Another labor issue, labor and management, and finally the wealth gap.
Yes.
This survey, by the way, for the first time, focused on immigration and its impact on society. And about 61.5% of respondents said at this rate, they don't really find it strange or odd to see someone of a different race or ethnicity, foreigners who have cultural backgrounds different from them living in their neighborhood. Almost 54% responded that South Korea should keep the current immigration rate, whereas 21% said we should accept more immigrants, and about 18.8% we should accept less immigrants than we do now.
I see. Well, that is what's happening, social division, kind of a snapshot at what people think. And speaking of conflict, this is the first day of school once again. And normally it's supposed to be this time of excitement and a little bit of nervousness, right? The butterflies. However, we're seeing signs of conflict across campuses now.
On many different levels, unfortunately. So first, let's go to the medical school issue. The conflict here continues into the 2025 academic year.
Right.
So according to Education Ministry data from February 25th, only 4,219 students across 40 medical schools have registered for spring classes. And there were 10 schools where not a single student has registered for classes. For most of the national university medical schools, the registration rate is in the single digits.
Yes.
And then also keep in mind that although over 4,000 registered, last year freshman students, they registered but didn't show up for classes. So we don't know whether that'll happen today or not. We'll have to see.
Yes. And there was maybe a bit of peer pressure, the aspect of peer pressure in all of the decision making.
Right, and this was also evident in the freshman orientations because even walking into the orientation site, there were banners from the upperclassmen, the student bodies, protesting classes and the quota expansion.
I see.
And also professors tried to convince students to come to class, but then upperclassmen who spoke to the incoming freshman class tried to convince the students otherwise. And one freshman at a Busan area med school said on their anonymously on their online board at the school that while they do agree in principle about what's going on, they had to sit through, according to this one student, 9 hours of speeches from upperclassmen on why they should boycott during their orientation.
I see.
The schools are trying to convince the upperclassmen to at least protect the rights to learn of the lower underclassmen. And there is some police investigation or at least initial probes going on.
Sure.
So as this is going on, some schools have even postponed the start of school for medical schools.
So once again, this is what's happening. It's continuing, right? And so this ongoing political dispute over the presidential impeachment, this is impacting campuses as well, though.
Right. So the pro and anti-impeachment protests, they're taking place across campuses, even some getting violent. So there was an anti and pro-impeachment rally or rallies at Chungang University yesterday afternoon. Hanyang University and Sungmyeong Women's University also taking petitions from students.
Right.
So, universities have always been kind of a site for political change and political movements. But nowadays, apparently it's getting even more heated because outsiders are joining. So we're talking about far-right YouTubers or even members of the Progressive University Students movement. So the Korea University of Foreign Studies, the school held a rally at the end of February. It went on for so long. There were multiple noise complaints lodged from not only neighbors, but even nearby universities. The school requested police to come in and break things apart or at least calm things down.
Yes.
But even one man was arrested for assaulting a police officer. So the school said that by the time that the rally ended, most of the people who had remained were actually not students.
Okay.
So with this, schools are contemplating different manuals or responses in order to keep order, especially once school begins.
Yes. Once again, first day of school, so a lot's going on across the country. So moving on, we've been talking about this slight uptick in the birth rate that happened late last year. And apparently there was some interesting aspects about birth patterns last year as well. So.
Right. So usually we see a boost in births in the first 3 months of the year. So that has been the case for the past 43 years. But last year, there was a considerable break from this. So in 2024, the months with the highest number of births was January, not surprising, but also October. Accounting for 9% each for the total birth rate.
I see. Well, why is there a boost in the birth rates for the beginning of the year?
Right. So for families who have planned their pregnancies,
yes,
it goes to parents wanting their kids to not get behind in growth or development in their earlier years. Because when the child is young, a difference of 6 months is major. That's the difference between walking and talking versus crawling.
Yes.
So with the Korean age system, and this goes to the past several years, affected it as well because under the old system, if a child is born in December, he or she's 1 year old at the time of birth, and then the month changes and they're suddenly 2.
Yes.
And they've barely opened their eyes.
Exactly.
So parents were trying to avoid that by having kids earlier on in the year.
So why the changes now though?
Right. So experts say that this is due to more families only having the single child. Because parents who do plan to have their kids earlier on in the year, they tend to be experienced parents. So they know from experience with the eldest that this could happen if we have our kids later on. So this is for second or third children.
Yes.
But there are now fewer parents who have child number 2, child number 3, and so on.
Sure.
Also, we started seeing post-pandemic weddings starting in August of 2022, this huge uptick in weddings. And statistically, couples do have their first child 2 years into their marriage. So now with, it could be kind of a statistical outlier with the post-pandemic weddings. So we'll have to see where that pans out.
I see. Very interesting to look at that. For our last story, we're going to get the latest updates on the war in Ukraine. So what's going on there?
Right. So after the whole White House debacle, let's just say, Europe is trying to calm things down. Although, as you said in news highlights, Trump and Zelensky situation, that relationship is going to be tougher to patch up. But at least for the time being, France and the UK are proposing a partial 1-month truce between Russia and Ukraine.
Yes.
So this initially came from French President Emmanuel Macron and his foreign minister. So they're calling for this triple level air, sea, and energy infrastructure truce. So why? They said if Vladimir Putin is willing to go through with this, it would show that Russia is acting in good faith and that Putin's attitude towards real peace negotiations would be solid. However, even within Europe, they're not completely and fully on board because for one, the British Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, who convened these emergency talks in London, said that leaders agreed in principle for a peace plan, but no details have emerged so far.
Sure.
Meanwhile, though, attacks on Ukraine continue with Russia conducting aerial attacks. And according to President Zelensky, we're looking at over 1,000 attack drones, 1,300 bombs, and over 20 missiles. And that's just in the past week.
Yes, indeed. So, of course, we'll continue to follow what happens, not just with that relationship, but, of course, the war in Ukraine. So thank you for all the news. And we'll check in with you in hour number 2. Thank you, Haley.
See you in a bit.
All right, now it's back to you, the listeners, for our text topic. Oh, very interesting reading some of your messages. Tommy saying, I tried to torch meat, cooking them with a lot of oil, and there was a huge fire in my frying pan. My kitchen hood was completely blackened. And you're the one who told me that it was difficult to burn 꼬리곰탕. I don't think so. But yes, that blackening like frying pans and whatnot, that's a common thing, definitely. Leslie saying, in my junior high home ec class, we were marked down in grades if we didn't have our hair pulled back in a ponytail or a headband. So I still pull my hair back when I cook. Oh, well, I didn't take home ec. I opted for another elective, so maybe that's why I burned my bangs. The eyelashes, can't do anything about that. But yes, definitely dangerous sometimes to, be in the kitchen. Do we have time for one more story of mine? Because I have so many. Okay, this is when I was trying to, I don't know why. I'm just not a good cleaner. And one day, I don't know how the wind, 바람이 어떻게 부는지 청소를 하게 됐어요. Right? And I think it was because we were getting ready to move to another place. And you know the wood block where all your knives are in, 그 칼 꼽는 그 나무로 된 블록 있잖아요. So I cleaned it in the kitchen and I was so proud of myself, and the sink, I mean. And I was moving it from one counter to the other. It slipped. I dropped it on my foot. And I knew instantly it was really, really severe because it started to swell right away. And then, roommate ran out. He's like, oh my God, we got to go to the ER. 응급실 가자. And I was like, no, I'm fine. I knew it was broken. I really did know. And then I slept in the other room with my foot elevated, and it was just getting like bigger and bigger and bigger. But I had to come to Morning Wave. It was a Thursday night, I remember. And I had to come to Morning Wave on Friday. I knew it. And so I came, our producer, same producer, she came down and got me with, these chairs have wheels. So she used it like a wheelchair. She got me and she rolled me up to the station. I literally did my broadcast like this with my foot up. Afterwards, she rolled me back down. I went to the hospital and it was a hairline fracture. So that is my other big kitchen mishap story. That's how much I love you guys. Here's Cat's Pick for today. All right, so who watched the Academy Awards yesterday? Well, if you didn't, here are, some highlights. This is from ABC News.
And the Oscar goes to
Anora.
Oscar Night 2025 saw movie greats honoring an underdog story on and off screen.
Anora
winning 5 Oscars in all, including Best Picture, and serving up the big night's biggest surprise in Best Actress.
Mikey Madison.
After a strong award season for The Substance's Demi Moore, the Oscar going to Anora's meteorite of a leading lady, 25-year-old Mikey Madison.
I grew up in Los Angeles, but Hollywood always felt so far away from me. So to be here, standing in this room today is really incredible.
Filmmaker Sean Baker broke a record by winning 4 Oscars for the same film in one night.
Where did we fall in love with the movies? At the movie theater.
Mommy!
Emotions overflowed for Zoe Saldana, supporting actress winner for Emilia Perez, paying tribute to her heritage.
I am a proud child of immigrant parents with dreams and dignity and hardworking hands, and I am the first American of Dominican origin to accept an Academy Award, and I know I will not be the last.
Adrian Brody.
An earnest Adrian Brody, the grateful recipient of a second Best Actor Oscar, this time for The Brutalist.
I pray for a healthier and a happier and a more inclusive world, and I believe if the past can teach us anything, it's a reminder to not let hate go unchecked.
Kieran Culkin, supporting actor winner for A Real Pain, reflecting on a hotter-than-ever acting career that began in movies 35 years ago.
She said, I will give you 4 when you win an Oscar. I held my hand out, she shook it, and I have not brought it up once until just now. You remember that, honey? You do? Okay. Then I just have this to say to you, Jazz. Love of my life, ye of little faith. No pressure. I love you. I'm really sorry I did this again. And let's get cracking on those kids. What do you say? I love you.
So if you didn't understand the last part, that was Kieran Culkin. Yes, that's the younger brother of Macaulay Culkin. Home Alone? Yeah, that's the younger brother. So he jokingly had a bet with his wife. His wife said, if you ever win an Oscar, I won't give you 3 kids. I'll give you 4 kids because they have 2 right now. And he won. So that's what he means. Let's get cracking means let's get going to making those babies. And this was Kat's Pick for today. English lesson.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
It is time for Sports Insider, but I don't know who this person is.
Oh, settle down.
Who is this?
Don't you be like one of those people in the Oval Office chirping me about my attire.
No.
Settle down.
No, you look so good and handsome today.
Oh, well,
just today. Only today.
Settle down. That was
Only
me getting
today.
my dandruff off.
So does that mean like you're going back to school?
Yeah. Back to regular work.
Right.
So yeah, no.
Are you excited?
I am actually. I do.
Don't lie.
No, I am. But I'm more excited
Yes.
for my wife because the kids are going back to school.
I know. She was probably like dancing today.
Yeah. Last week was really fun. Maybe a week and a half ago.
Yes.
She was just like, stress. And I was like, what's wrong? And she's like,
the kids.
방학.
진짜 방학 stress.
Like,
it's real.
It's, food in the morning, food in the afternoon,
Right.
and food in the evening. And then, if I'm out doing work and doing stuff, so I'm,
Right.
maybe might not be at home. And she's just like, oh, it's too much.
I hate vacations. 삼시세끼, oh no.
When you go into your local coffee shop at,
Right.
say, 9:30 today, and you see anybody in there with smiles from ear to ear,
Yes.
you know why.
Yes.
Kids are back to school.
레일라, 앤드류 정상적인 옷 입은데 너무 다른 사람 같아요. 정상적인? Because last week was so abnormal.
Yeah.
Yes.
No. Last week was actually me. This is abnormal. Let's get to some sports news.
No, I want to hear about kitchen mishaps.
Kitchen mishaps.
That's our text topic today. No kitchen mishaps? You've never sliced off a finger? Nothing like that?
Injuries?
Yeah. Or like just burning food. That's serious enough.
I left something on the stove and fell asleep and woke up to smoke in my apartment and then realized that my smoke detector was, the battery was dead.
Okay.
But it was fine. It was it was on a low temperature.
But still.
Yeah,
that's
not
kind of
cool.
scary.
Yeah, not cool.
Right.
I learned my lesson from that. I don't know, injuries. I've gotten burned a few times. Also, I've cut myself a few times pretty good. But a good thing is, if you do cut yourself in the kitchen, if you're using, this is another reason to have good knives.
Yes.
And have sharp knives. Because you can pretty much close it up yourself and not have to go to the hospital. If it's like a really clean cut. I mean, if it's to the bone, that's a little different.
Right.
But yeah, if
And
it's just a
also
little slice.
I think having dull knives, 칼이 좀 둔하고 하면 it's worse because it slips.
Oh,
so
yeah,
you're
exactly.
Not cutting
they can be
correctly.
more dangerous.
Right.
Sure.
All right. Thanks for sharing.
All right. So in a surprising turn of events, North Jeolla Province has been selected as South Korea's candidate for the 2036 Summer Olympics, defeating the capital city, Seoul, in a vote by the KSOC, the Korean Sport and Olympic Committee. The province secured 49 votes out of 61, Seoul only receiving 11 and 1 vote declared invalid.
Yes.
Now, North Jeolla Governor Kim Kwon-young celebrated the victory, calling it a miracle. And I think anybody who is aware of how Korea is set up, they would probably agree.
Because it's Seoul-centric, Seoul-centric, meaning everything is about the capital, right?
And sorry for Busan and mostly the rest of the country. People outside of Korea, they know Seoul.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, main reason, probably because of the last Olympics in 88.
Right.
Summer Olympics, it's still in their head.
It puts you on the map.
Exactly. So the province's strategy focusing on hosting a co-efficient and eco-friendly Olympics with plans to share events with neighboring cities like Daegu and Gwangju. So this is North Jeolla. So it doesn't, whenever I think of Jeolla province, I think of it like much more south, right? But this is like the northern part, so it's not too far from Daegu.
That's true.
Right? And then there will be some other events around in other cities, which is great because it kind of does spread it out, but it also... I don't know. I don't know if that's really what people would want because, you look at some Olympics, they want to be in like one area. Like if you take, Pyeongchang, well, the ski events were here, the ice events were over in Gangneung, so a little bit different. But North Jeolla's bid aims to promote balanced regional development in South Korea, aligning with the International Olympic Committee's emphasis on cost efficiency. I think this is what they have going for them as well, that is what they're hitting on like big time, is, being cost efficient and also having things that will last after the games. Because, we look at what went on in Brazil, in Rio, and then in other cities or like in Sochi. A lot of these places aren't even being used anymore and they're just graveyards.
That's true.
So now they will face stiff competition from other bidders, including India, Indonesia, Turkey, and Chile. Despite being considered an underdog, North Jeolla's innovative approach and regional collaboration strategy won over voters. So it'll be interesting to see, what happens. There are a couple other countries that, they have some interest as well. But I don't know. I'll take North Jeolla over those other countries right there.
But definitely, if it came to North Jeolla, that would be so amazing.
Yeah.
Just for the entire nation. It's not just about one region.
And it's not that far from us.
I know. Yeah. So good luck. Yes.
Exactly.
Well, another bid was put in, but this time it was for the Asian Cup, and we're talking about soccer, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So the KFA has officially expressed interest in hosting the 2031 AFC Asian Cup. Now, on Thursday, the KFA submitted an expression of interest to the AFC, meeting the deadline set for Friday.
Yes.
So this is actually something that was been like kind of up in the air. Are they going to put it in? Are they not going to put it in? But I think it was kind of, I don't know, with them not getting some previous events, I think you almost have to throw your hat in the ring. And it's something like here in Korea, it happens quite a bit. There's always international events. You're like, how did they get that?
Sure.
Well, they just threw their hat in the ring. So there hasn't been an Asian Cup here in Korea since 1960. So
What?
I'd say we're due.
For the Asian Cup?
Yeah, exactly. I'm
How many
very
Asian
surprised.
countries are there?
Exactly.
Right.
And this bid marks a significant opportunity for the country to stage the tournament again after more than 70 years. So like
Yes.
that. Now, there are other expressions of interest from Australia, the UAE, Kuwait, and Indonesia. And then there's also a joint bid from Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and Kyrgyzstan, which a lot of people think that might have a chance because it will kind of, harmonize the region, bring countries together. So maybe that's what they're looking for.
Yes.
Then you got to look at the places with all the money as well, which has been some, things as of late. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. It will not be announced until 2026. So we do have some time to go. But, the 2022 or the 2002. I was going to say 2002. That would be weird. The World Cup, was, a success here in Korea and Japan. So hopefully they could get something and carry on from there.
Hopefully. And we have a question for you.
All right, let's hear it.
TJ, Andrew, 손흥민 토트넘 확실히 떠날 건가요? So he wants to know, like you're in the know, right? So he wants to know if Sonheung-min is leaving Tottenham. Have you heard anything?
There are
rumors.
The rumor boys are out there in full force with this. I would say at the end of the season, it'll depend on where they end up, but I think it might be almost time for him to go.
Yeah.
If you want my own opinion, because I think he still has 3 or 4 years left in him to be able to play at the top flight. And I think he also wants to stay playing and be competing for things.
Something.
Not 10th place.
Competing for something, anything
Exactly.
at this point. Just saying.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the LPGA.
Yeah, so Lydia Ko, the world number 3 golfer from New Zealand,
Yes.
secured a dominant victory at the 2025 HSBC World Women's Championship held at the Sentosa Golf Club in Singapore. Did you watch any of this?
I watched a little bit. I did. Not the entire thing, though.
I watched a
Bits and
lot of
pieces.
the third and fourth round.
Oh, third round. I watched.
The Thursday, Friday, I'm just a bit busy. I caught some highlights, but it was fantastic to watch. The weather looked unbelievable, unlike what we are stuck with here today. Hopefully this goes away real soon.
Yes.
Yeah, so she was able to win with a total score of minus 13, 4 strokes ahead of her closest competitors, Ayaki Fure of Japan and Gino Tidikal of Thailand, who tied for second place at 9 under. Now, there was also Charlie Hall of the UK was in there throughout the whole week, kind of dropped off a little bit on Sunday, but was still in the mix. And then also there was a few Koreans that were there or thereabouts, but good that they're still within the top 10. So like Kim Ha-lim and I believe Ko Jin-young dropped off after the first couple of days, but hopefully we can hear them back in the top 10 very soon. Now we're getting to a clip here from the LPGA of Lydia Ko talking about her victory.
Yeah, I dreamt last night that I won, but then I woke up and I was like, dang, it's not real yet. But I just wanted to focus on, my game, and it was a pretty tight leaderboard, and there's been a lot of change, throughout the past few days. So just focusing on me was really important. I started off really steady, and didn't really put myself in trouble that much, and I think that was going to be the key for today. And it's exciting to add Asia's major to my major collection.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty amazing for her. And this kind of brings her money over her career to $36.8 million, with this win contributing $643,000. So yeah, like she said, Asia's major to the mix. This is after getting an Olympic gold, and I mean she's kind of won it all, so it's not surprising.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
Yes. So big congrats to her.
Yes.
But I mean, I don't know. She's already in the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. She's like not even 30. 29, 30.
Yeah, and it's funny when I kind of follow the LPGA quite a bit and get to attend the events here in Korea. And she's just really calm, cool, and collective on the course. She's having a great day.
Yes.
She's having a bad day. Doesn't look a lot different.
Right. She's
like makes a bad
very
shot, just, whatever.
Even keel.
Yeah.
Like very smooth.
Nonchalant in the best way.
Yeah, in the best way.
Yeah.
And so VH, is this Vasana? I don't know. It says, Lydia is a Kowi. So I said, Kiwi? He said, no, Kowi. Korean. And plus Kiwi, Kowi.
Settle down, Vasana. He'll be in here in his All Blacks top next, trying to take my job.
No, that's so boring. So I'm just kidding. All sports is fun. All sports is fun.
Yeah.
So one more quick story before I let you go.
Yeah, so the Champions League round of 16 kicks off this week. So it'll be, I guess, Wednesday and Thursday morning here in Korea.
Yes.
And a couple of big matchups here. There'll be a Madrid derby, Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid. A couple other big ones here. The German showdown with Bayern Munich and Bayer Leverkusen. Also, PSG will face Liverpool, which it's kind of, as a Liverpool fan, it's which PSG are we going to get?
I know. Who's showing up?
The one that finished 24th or the one that's like going to destroy us?
Right.
Hopefully it is the one that
Destroy us.
Yeah, no, thank you. Also, Inter Milan takes on Feyenoord. There's a few other matchups as well, but none as enticing as that. So this is a round of 16 in the new format. They did have a new format this year. Then it'll move on to the quarterfinals and then the semifinals, and the final will be on May 31st, and this will be in Munich at the Allianz Arena in Germany. But we'll have a lot more to talk about before that.
All right. Well, we're going to call it a wrap. Happy first day, whoever has Andrew as their prof. Yes.
Yeah. Bring your umbrella. I don't know who ordered this weather. Maybe it was me with all the Canadian gear on last week.
It's because we're all crying going
it.
back to school.
No, not at all.
So
Everyone,
for everybody
smiles.
out there, yes. Thank you, Andrew.
Bye-bye.
This song is called 일어나 by Kim Kwang-seok. So to all the students out there, let's get up and go to school.
검은 밤의 가운데 서 있어 한치 앞도 보이질 않아 어디로 가야 하나 어디에 있을까 둘러봐도 소용없었지 인생이란 강물 위를 끝없이 부초처럼 떠다니다가 어느 고요한 호숫가에 닿으면 물과 함께 썩어가겠지 일어나 일어나 다시 한번 해보는 거야 일어나 일어나 봄의 새싹들처럼 끝이 없는 말들 속에 나와 너는 지쳐가고 또 다른 행동으로 또 다른 말들로 스스로를 안심시키지 인정함이 많을수록 새로움은 점점 더 멀어지고 그저 왔다 갔다 시계추와 같이 매일매일 흔들리겠지 일어나 일어나 다시 한번 해보는 거야 일어나 일어나 봄의 새싹들처럼 가볍게 산다는 건 결국은 스스로를 헐벗내고
Your Bridge to the World. BEFM 부산영어방송.
우리가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, BNK 부산은행과 함께합니다.
These are the guidelines for action for people in the event of an apartment building fire. First, if evacuation is possible in the event of a fire in your home, move to a safe place in a low posture by using stairs. And if evacuation is difficult, move to an evacuation space or block the door gap and call 119 for rescue. Second, if a fire breaks out in another home and no flames or smoke enters your home, wait inside the home, call 119, and act according to the announcement. Third, if flames and smoke come into your home in the event of a fire in another home, check to see if evacuation is possible and then evacuate or request rescue. This was brought to you by the Ministry of the Interior and Safety and the National Fire Agency.
살림꾼 김재우의 살림템 추천. 창틀 바람막이로 실내 온기 지켜줄게. 포장은 다회용기로, 플라스틱 거절한다. 우리 식재료로 유통을 줄이면 탄소를 줄일 수 있어. 이 모든 건 기후위기에 대응하는 지구 살림템. 여러분도 함께해요. 공익광고협의회.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Good morning, Dynamic Busan.
Yeah, you're waking up. Time to shake it up. Tell the world good morning and find out what's going on.
Well, hi there, folks. There's everything from comedy to lively chat to music.
Broadcasting from a room about the size of your closet.
All calls are recorded.
What show is this?
Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan. I'm sorry, who'd you say you were?
It's now time for news highlights. Rival parties torn over Justice nominee's appointment. The ruling People Power Party, PPP, and the main opposition Democratic Party, DP, continue to lock horns over whether acting president Choi Sang-mok should appoint Constitutional Court Justice nominee Ma Eun-hyuk. The ruling party's interim chief Kwon Young-se wrote on social media yesterday that Choi must refuse to appoint Ma for the sake of the nation's future and must not be intimidated by the opposition party's threats. Meanwhile, the main opposition, DP, urged the acting president to appoint Ma, hinting that until he does, the party will boycott the three-way consultative body involving the government and rival political camps. Ex-President Park Geun-hye calls for ruling party unity. Former President Park Geun-hye called on the ruling People Power Party to stay united and fulfill its responsibilities despite challenges from the opposition-controlled political landscape. She was visited by the PPP leadership at her home in Daegu, where she expressed deep concern over the impeachment of President Yoon Suk-yeol. The leadership later quoted Park as saying she hopes the PPP can unite for the sake of the country's future and for the ruling party to take full responsibility for the public until the very end. Heavy snow causes multiple accidents and ground flights. Heavy snow came down over Gangwon, Chungcheong, and Gyeongsang regions yesterday, grounding 11 flights and 76 passenger vessels, according to the Central Disaster and Countermeasures Headquarters. Multiple accidents happened on frozen and slippery roads, but no major injuries were reported, said the National Fire Agency. Snow or rain started coming down in the same regions from early this morning, expected to spread to the capital area later in the day. The Ministry of the Interior has raised the heavy snow alert level to the second highest, yellow. Trump says tariffs on external agricultural products will begin on April 2nd. U.S. President Donald Trump sent a message Monday local time to U.S. farmers that tariffs on external products will begin early next month, signaling the introduction of new duties on agricultural imports. Trump said the new tariffs will go on April 2nd, as he had made a series of announcements on tariffs as part of his drive to pare down America's trade deficits, bolster domestic manufacturing, and address other issues, including the flow of undocumented migrants and illicit drugs. In the meantime, Trump also signed an executive order imposing an additional 10% tariff on Chinese imports from Tuesday. Zelensky says the end of war is far away, outrages Trump. Donald Trump expressed new outrage at Volodymyr Zelensky for saying that the end of the war could be very, very far away, showing a deepened rift between Washington and Kyiv. The exchange followed a French proposal for a partial one-month truce between Russia and Ukraine, as European efforts to bolster support for Kyiv accelerated in the face of uncertain U.S. backing. Trump said that Zelensky's statement was the worst that he could have made, warning that the U.S. will not put up with it for much longer. And this was News Highlights. It's time for Waglwagle. Haley's back.
I'm back. Oh, am I?
Is your voice back?
Yeah, it's coming back.
Okay,
Here we go.
Okay. There we go.
This is what happens when I don't talk for an hour. It just, yeah.
You
my
can talk
voice
to
goes
yourself.
away. I should.
Outside.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So let's jump into our first story. First of all, there's been, a couple of these recent tragedies. Let me get the words out. Tragedies involving hoarding.
Right. So this could be a bit of a trigger warning. We're going to talk about some mental health illnesses and deaths. So last month on February 26th, and these all happened in Busan. In Bukgu district, there was a fire that killed a woman in her 50s. The home, however, when the authorities got in, it was filled to the brim, we should say, with trash, apparently enough to fill a 1-ton truck when they cleared it out.
Okay.
So the police suspect that the victim was suffering from a hoarding disorder. In Korean, that's 저장강박증. And she may have been smoking when things around her caught on fire.
I see.
On the same day, another woman in her 40s, she died in Haeundae-gu district, also in a fire. She too suffered from hoarding disorder and was even on the district's watch list. The police suspect that this time the fire began from a heating lamp and to the trash around that lamp.
Yes. This is very much a tragic story, but we also want to learn more about this hoarding issue.
Right. So hoarding is a form of OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, 강박장애, where you collect and basically never throw anything away. That you either have an attachment to it or for various reasons.
Yes.
So it is known that the number of seniors who experience hoarding is triple the number of younger people. However, with economic difficulties and social isolation, the figure for young people suffering from hoarding is on the rise as well.
Yes.
So local governments, they provide help in ways of cleaning and counseling. But number one, it requires people to kind of acknowledge that they have a problem and even seek out help or at least agree to it.
Yes.
Which when you are suffering from mental health issues, that is tough. And secondly, even if you do, just clearing out your home once isn't going to solve or get to the fundamental issues at hand. So experts say that hoarding often stems from a sense of helplessness, loneliness, crippling anxiety, or fear.
Right.
So not only efforts with cleaning, but also a fundamental solution, including prolonged counseling, could be a way to help them.
So a sad story, but to learn more about it and to spread the word, of course. We're going to move on to a lighter story about Subway lost and found items. Is this a lighter story? I hope it is.
It is. Well, I mean, lighter than the previous one, but there were apparently, and we're just talking about Seoul Metro, which released its recent figures, 152,000 lost items turned into Seoul subways lost and found. Have you ever lost stuff on the subway, public transportation?
I have not, but I'm calling out one of my family members.
Ooh.
And she uses the Seoul Metro. She has lost her wallet 3 times.
She's been in Seoul for like 3 years, 2 years, 3 years. Has she not?
At this point, so what we made her do is on her phone, and she protested it. 그 지갑 달린 phone case 있죠.
어이구.
Because she will never lose her phone. But her wallet 3 times.
Wow.
So if you find it.
You know, we used to have like a chain. That used to be a trend. Like,
we suggested
fashion.
that.
Or have it like around her neck. Interesting. And she's so smart.
Just book smart.
Yeah.
We know.
In any case, so 152,000 items, including 3 wallets by the same person. And, and this is, by the way, roughly about 418 items lost and turned in every single day.
Oh.
So what did people leave behind? Well, cash. Flat out. By the way, I have lost like an envelope of cash on the bus. And
how much was it?
I don't want to talk about it. 30만 원. I don't want to talk about it. But yeah. You know what? I'm assuming it went to a good... Yeah. I've moved beyond it. I've moved past it as I die and ride on the inside. 569 million won worth of cash.
Yes.
Most of it was retrieved, but still we're looking at a little over like 1억 won still left behind, hanging out, waiting for, well, me, I suppose, at least parts of it. Really odd stuff.
Like what?
Pets, animals. Like,
isn't that abandoning them?
I hope
they
not.
lost their pets?
Birds and reptiles.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, can you imagine, like, you open a bag and there's, like, a lizard, like a gecko just hanging out?
Gecko I can do, snake I cannot.
Oh, my goodness. Snakes on a train. Shamanism artifacts, like rattles.
Rattles?
Like the that.
Really?
Yeah. No, this gets weirder. Heads of mannequins. Mannequin heads, body.
Oh.
For like hair, I'm assuming for hairstylists in training.
Right.
Barbershop signs at one point.
Look at the. Is that a bowling ball?
Yeah.
How can you forget a bowling ball?
I mean.
Oh, I want the one next to it.
Oh, the ham.
The
ham. Yeah.
That's mine.
Any case, also this could be a metric for trends because decorating and embellishments are coming back, like keychains, key rings, cell phone charms, like all the charms, and they fall off. Now it used to be like 닦고 다이어리 꾸미기, like putting stickers, but now it's 백구, like decorating your backpacks, like backpack 꾸미기. So there are so many key rings and keychains.
I have
that
3.
Seoul Metro is forced to have a separate space just for the keychains. Right. But of course, the most commonly lost item
is
wallet. Top place for 5 years, accounting for almost a quarter of all lost items, followed by cell phones, clothes, bags, and other valuables. About half the items have returned. After a certain period, they will turn it in to the police. And by the way, each municipality's police station, they have a lost and found page where they actually have a listing of stuff. So if you lost valuables, check in with that precinct. Yeah.
Yes.
Are you
please
listening,
do.
child of Catherine? Yeah.
Please. Oh, yeah. Well, we could do an hour just on that. Yes, being book smart but not street savvy. Okay. An American bank accidentally, I saw this story. I was like, that's a lot of zeros. Deposited a huge chunk of money to an unsuspecting customer. So huge
With
is beyond.
Many U's and G's. So Citigroup, they were supposed to deposit or credit $280. So that's what, like a little over 30만 원 to a customer's account. Mistakenly deposited $81 trillion.
Wait, how many zeros is that?
That's, you work on that. And my story might end. It's 11경 won. And like, but I'm like, okay,
I didn't even know
maybe
there was a
adding
Kyungwon.
extra zeros is understandable, but 280 and 81, like,
makes no
why?
sense.
What did you?
Why? What happened?
Well, another problem.
Yes.
They didn't catch this for hours.
Oh gosh.
And corrected it the following day. So this happened in April of last year. The story's just coming out. The error was missed by an employee in charge of payment.
Yes.
And then a second official, because banks do have second checks to make sure this doesn't happen. But that employee missed it as well. And they cleared it for processing, thankfully, for the next day. So it wasn't immediately withdrawn. A third employee, somebody give them the Employee of the Month or Year trophy, caught the error an hour and a half after the payment was processed. But thankfully, it was reversed several hours later. So, I mean, the lesson is bankers make mistakes, because when my sister was she had to go to a bank to make an international transaction. So she made a mistake on the accounting number, and this is my New Year's resolution to not harp on her so much. So I was also writhing and dying behind her, trying to read my book, but also not trying to hit her with my book. And then the banker made a mistake. She sent the wrong amount, so she had to reverse it.
Oh gosh.
So I'm just like, what are you guys doing? Is this a skit? Am I being punked? In any case, so bankers make mistakes as well. So please check as customers. Thankfully, no funds were actually withdrawn from the bank, because I mean, that's their entire funding. No. So it was a near miss, and this is officially, it was a near miss. No, they were able to recover the funds. But here's the thing. This isn't the only mistake the bank has made. There were 10 near misses of $1 billion or more.
What's
just
going on
from
at
this
Citi?
particular Citi bank last year.
Big.
And that's, by the way, a decrease from 13 the year before. So last month, Citi's CFO Mark Mason said the bank is investing more to address these issues. And quickly.
I don't know, but as one of our listeners said, 그거 쓰면 횡령이. Yes,
that's
쓰면
illegal.
That's illegal. You
Right.
cannot use money that you know for sure is not yours.
Right.
Because you know for sure you don't have $81 trillion.
I don't have 11경.
I
don't
didn't even know
know
there's a
what 경
경
is. Right. Quadrillion? Is that what quadrillion is?
경?
Yeah, if you can't spell that amount, you can't spend
If you've
it.
never heard of it, like 경, then you have no right spending it. All right. Oh, but can you imagine it had been transferred?
I guess I can. Yes, indeed.
What would you do?
I'm buying many, many homes, and I won't be here tomorrow. I kid. You guys, I kid.
Oh, yeah,
I'll be in jail. I'll be in jail.
Together.
Yeah.
We're gone. All right, let's go to our final story. It's another baffling story, this time from a customer's end. So what happened?
All right, so online purchases, they don't always hit the mark, maybe wrong size, and returns or exchanges are necessary, or if you're me, just shove it into your closet and forget about it.
Yes.
But what about 1,638 of them of refunds from a single person? Right. So a woman was found guilty of fraud for doing this.
Yes.
For making 1,638 returns across 4 months, not even her lifetime, sentenced to 8 months in prison, but suspended for 2 years.
Why would you do that?
So this lady ordered 1,600 items on Coupang's Rocket Fresh. So this is the early morning delivery for produce.
Okay.
And would claim problems, defects, faulty whatevers, and request refunds. Here's the thing. Under the company's policy, because it's fresh produce, there's no point in them retrieving it. So if these refunds come in, it'll ask the customer to take care of it. Throw
it away.
In good faith, if it is defective, just throw it away and refund the money. Well, I mean, clearly it wasn't defective. And she not only did it herself, but she also was kind of the middleman told acquaintances that, I get a discount, so I can order that for you, and did the same thing, pocketing the money and then, giving the friends the produce. So she ordered many, many things, fruits and vegetables, cheese, milk, ice cream, no problem with the product. So the court ruled that because she made over 31 million won, 3,100만 원, she did deposit 10 million won for the company. However, that's still simple math, 21 million won left.
That's someone's salary.
That's just many, many things.
Yes.
So the court said the crime is not light, and this was very much planned, thus the guilty verdict.
And that's why we're calling it baffling, which means very confusing, what? What in the world? Why would you do that?
Right.
Exactly.
Why?
So that's our little term for today. Well, we're going to call it a wrap on all the woggly news. Thank you, and we'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Haley.
Have a great day.
All right. And now it's time for your updated traffic and weather. It is now 8:17. Here's your traffic update. There was an accident on Nakdong-Namno from Nakdong-gang Ha-Gutuk to Gangso Police Station right by the Myeongji interchange. So please be aware of this. Also congested on Dongso Overpass from Sasang to Hakjang. And it's looking slow on Panjonglo from Allak to Kumsa intersection in both directions. Likewise, also congested on Mandok-daero from Minam to Mandok intersection. And there is a lot of heavy traffic congested on Jungwang-daero from Songgong 3-way intersection to Samyeon direction in both directions. Currently, it's 4 degrees Celsius in Busan and it is raining. There are strong winds. Once again, the real field temperatures are going to feel like it's in the negative territory across the country. Rain or snow across most parts. Heavy snow forecast along the eastern coast. Up to 30 centimeters across 2 days. The roads are slippery, so whether you're driving or walking, please be careful out there. This was your traffic and weather. And this is Juliet by Elementi.
Hey, I've been watching you, every little thing you do. Every time I see you pass in my homeroom class, makes my heart beat fast. I've tried to page you twice, but I see you roll your eyes. Wish I could make it real, but your lips are sealed, that ain't no big deal. Cause I know you really want me. I hear your friends talk about me. So why you trying to do without me? When you got me, when you want me. I think you're fine, you really blow my mind. Maybe someday you and me can run away. I just want you to know I wanna be your Romeo. Hey Juliet, hey Juliet, hey Juliet. Girl, you got me on my knees, begging please, baby please. Got my best DJ on the radio wave saying, Juliet, what are you doing between? Too far to turn around, so I'm gonna stand my ground. Give me just a little bit of hope, with a smile or a glance, give me one more chance. Cause I know you really want me. I hear your friends talk about me. So why you trying to do without me? When you got me, when you want me. Hey Juliet, I think you're fine, you really blow my mind. Maybe someday you and me can run away. I just want you to know I wanna be your Romeo. Hey Juliet, hey Juliet, hey Juliet. I know you're ready.
Welcome back, everybody. Oh, I'm getting like even personal messages on my phone early this morning saying like, freedom. People are happy that it's first day of class. Because for the parents out there, as much as we love the kids, I mean, it is kind of a challenge because when they're in school, you don't have to worry about, all their meals. At least lunch is provided. And if you have a high school kid, if they do the yaja, the late night, studies at school, they provide dinner as well. And then like during summer vacation and winter vacation, it's like, for most, cooking minimum 2, if not 3 meals a day. And, when you're a working mom, it can be challenging. And even if you're not a working mom, I think that is even more challenging because the kids are home constantly. So yes, we love all the kiddies. We do. But to everybody going back to school, and I think it's also just an exciting time. That feeling of going into class, wondering what your new teacher is going to be like, or, if you're going up to, college or university, wondering what your profs are going to be like, your classmates, etc. So once again, a sincere, congrats. And I hope we have a great new semester. And I know I joke a lot about, not wanting to go back to school. I'm actually looking forward to it. I really am. They loaded me with lots of classes this semester. The scheduler, 너무 감사해요. 클래스를 너무 많이 줬어요. Right? So looking forward to meeting all of my students. Now we're going to get to our special interview and find out what's happening in Germany. All right, welcome back, everybody. Germany's recent federal election has ushered in significant political shifts in the country. So Friedrich Merz, a leader of the center-right Christian Democratic Union, CDU, is poised to become the next chancellor, making a conservative turn for German politics. So the far-right Alternative for Germany, known as AfD, made substantial gains, reflecting growing public discontent, it seems. So these developments raise important questions about Germany's future, its direction, both domestically and within the European Union. So let's find out more. We have invited Dr. Garret Martin, Senior Professorial Lecturer and the Co-Director of the Transatlantic Policy Center and the School of International Service of American University. Let's say hi. Welcome back, Dr. Martin, how are you?
Doing well, and congratulations to all the students going back to school in Korea.
Indeed. It's a brand new school year, so thank you for that. So first of all, can we talk about the CDU, the Christian Democratic Union? How did this party come to win the recent election in Germany? Give us kind of the backdrop of what's been happening.
Well, I think the important element to remember about the CDU, the Christian Democratic Union, is that they have been traditionally the dominant party in German politics. This was the party of Angela Merkel, who was, after all, chancellor for 16 years between 2005 and 2021. So that element, I think, is they always had a good base of support. I think the other element is that they benefited really from the deep unpopularity of the previous government, which was a coalition between the center-left, the Greens, and kind of the Liberals. So they were sort of, by default, I think, likely to win because their main opposition had done so badly in government.
Yes. And so what do we know about Friedrich Merz? Do you have any information?
Yeah, so Merz is an interesting character, someone who, he's 69, someone who had been a big rival of Angela Merkel, but had lost out when she took over the party in the early 2000s. Went away in the private sector, worked in transatlantic, associations, which is important when we talk about relations with the United States later, and came back to politics only a few years ago. And I think took advantage of the fact he was quite different than Angela Merkel after the party lost out in 2021. And so allowing himself to be back in the leadership.
Yes. And so why do you think this time around, people supported them?
Well, I think, again, it's a fact that, the other parties had done so badly. I think that was very important. I mean, we are looking at historic unpopularity for Olaf Scholz, who was the previous chancellor of the Social Democrats. I mean, We're talking about minus 60 in approval rating. So that was really a catastrophic situation. The two major themes of the campaign, namely the economy and the migration, were also themes that naturally played better for the right, whether for the mainstream right and also for the far right. This was themes where they were always going to be more favorable for parties on the right.
Yes, indeed. And speaking of the right, though, can we go to kind of the far right, AfD, Alternative for Germany? This party got 20.8% of the vote. So why do you think Germans voted for this party?
Well, the most stunning element is if you look at the areas where the Christian Democrats won and the areas where the Alternative for Deutschland, the Alternative for Germany, had the most votes.
Yes.
It essentially exactly mirrors the division that existed between East Germany and West Germany. The AfD won all of the 5 former states that used to be a part of East Germany.
Right.
I think it speaks to the fact that there is still, even 30 years after reunification, there are significant differences in terms of economic performance, in terms of unemployment rate between East and West. So the AfD has certainly capitalized on the population who has felt left behind, who felt it has not benefited from reunification. That's one element. I think the second is, keep in mind, East Germany did not really have this experience with migration until reunification.
Yes.
And so there's a lot more pushback towards migration in East Germany, or at least the former part of East Germany. That is, again, another element where the AfD has really been able to capitalize.
Yes, yes. And so how do you think that the new government's conservative policies, because yes, it's the CDU, but also you can't ignore the fact that 20% of the population voted for the AfD as well. So how do you think this will affect Germany's economy and society, at least in the short term?
Well, it's a very big test for the mainstream parties, for the center, if you want. Because Germany's economic challenges have been ingrained for a number of years. Nearly for the past decade, Germany's economy has simply not performed well, even compared to peer countries. So if they're unable to turn the situation around, you can imagine that will give further ammunition for the AfD to suggest that mainstream parties cannot address the needs of citizens. We've seen that story play out in other parts of the world.
Yes.
So it's a real challenge for the CDU, for Friedrich Merz, to see, can they actually address the economic needs of their citizens? On migration, I think it's a double-edged sword, because do they risk, or do they try to undercut the far right by adopting some of the themes? But then does that sort of normalize the rhetoric? Or do they try to combat the approach taken by the AfD? So it's going to be really major challenges ahead for Merz's government domestically, let alone talking about the complicated international stage.
Indeed, indeed. And so if we go back to Merz, it seems he wants Germany to be more independent in terms of defense and rely less on the United States as well. So how could this change Germany's role when we talk about things like NATO or just in Europe?
I mean, this would be, an earth-shattering shift for Germany. I mean, West Germany, going back to the days of the Cold War, the alliance with the United States was fundamental to its existence and its identity. Okay?
Yes.
They were fundamentally committed to the transatlantic connection. I would say the events in February, there were multiple events. I would say the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, giving a very harsh speech at the Munich Security Conference.
Right.
Elon Musk actively meddling in the elections and supporting the far right. And of course, then the decision by Donald Trump to negotiate directly with Russia without really involving the Europeans. Those were major shocks to Merz and others. I think the challenge is going to be what does it mean to be real independence from the United States? Does it mean a complete ability of Europe to defend itself? That is a tall order. That is going to require a lot of financial investment, significant investment in defense, which has not been historically the case for Germany for obvious reasons of its past.
Yes.
So this would be a major shock and change for the Germans.
And when we look at Germany's overall political parties and the system, it definitely does seem like there's different parties that are going to have to work together, a coalition of sorts. So what kind of political partnerships might form, or have they already formed?
So, yes, it will have to be a coalition. And the likely coalition, which is also interesting, is going to be, the SPD, the Social Democrats. So the party that was in power, until now. In terms of the arithmetic, that's the only real manageable coalition, because there's still very much an approach that we will not work with the far right. So that really does not leave a lot of options. Keep in mind that this is quite traditional. It's called the Grand Coalition in German politics, where the two main parties work together.
Yes.
That was the case for 12 of the 16 years in power for Angela Merkel. So the challenge here for those two is, how do they mitigate or minimize the areas of disagreement? How do they make these drastic changes and, again, deliver on the economic front, which has been the real Achilles heel for Germany in the past decade?
Yes. And I do want to focus a little bit on the SPD. So that would be the Social Democratic Party of Germany, because it had the worst election results in over, they say, 100 years. Over a century. What does this tell us about the overall changing landscape of German politics?
I would say it's a more fundamental Western or European story. I think the social democratic parties have struggled in the past 25 years, or even in the post-Cold War era. These were parties that traditionally were deeply aligned to the working class votes, but the working class vote has felt alienated, has not felt that their economic concerns have been addressed. And so these voters have looked for new homes. In Germany, many of them went to the far right, but a number also went to the far left. Younger voters, it's very striking that younger voters are going for the extremes, and older voters are the ones that are still supporting the traditional parties.
Right.
So I think that's been a big issue. And I think the second issue in particular for the German Social Democrats, they've been in government for most of the last 20 years. They haven't had sufficient time in opposition to really think about how to reinvent themselves, how to change their messaging. So I think that's been an additional challenge for them.
Right. And of course, we'll continue to keep our eyes on Germany, one of the leading countries, of course, in Europe and in the world. Thank you so much for all your expertise, and take care. Thanks for joining us today.
Always a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. This was Dr. Garret Martin, and we talked about what we might expect in Germany, because once again, leader in the European Union, so important for the world stage of politics. So that's why we had this special interview. And now we're going to take a short song break. So here it is. This is 시작 by Park Kyung, as requested by Benny.
처음 보는
right, welcome back, wavers out there. We're seeing rain and snow right now in the southern regions, plus heavy rain forecast for the Gangwon and northern Gyeongsang areas. So what are we expecting? We're expecting traffic congestion from the first day of school and also the morning commute. So take public transportation if possible, and please be careful on slippery slopes and small alleys, both when you're walking and driving, and try not to go near greenhouses or any aged structures with a lot of snow piled on top of them, because we've heard of tragedies involving that before. And please put safety first when you are trying to clear snow, and try to do this if you have to during the daytime. And real quick, I do want to read a message to from one of our listeners out there. Layla is sharing a very interesting, and she put a lot of but like, it could have gone really bad. So apparently when she was studying abroad, 유학 간지 얼마 안 돼서 flatmates, her roommate에게 삼겹살을 해주려고 오븐에 통 삼겹살을 요리하다가, so she put a big like block of pork belly in the oven. 잘 익었나 보려고 엄청난 연기가 주방을 뒤덮었어요. So she opened the oven to see, is it ready? Is it cooked? And then when she opened her oven, smoke came out, right? Out of her oven. Fire alarm이 아닌 smoke alarm이라는 게 있는지 몰랐을 때 결국은 그 알람이 울렸고, 다행히 소방차는 오지 않았지만 벌금은 100불을 냈던 우픈 에피소드가 있습니다. So the smoke alarm went off, not the fire alarm, because if the fire alarm, that's like real serious. But she ended up paying $100 penalty because of her trying to cook samgyeopsal for her roommates. The good thing is everyone was safe, so no injuries or anything like that. But that was like an expensive lesson to be learned, was it not? So thanks for sharing that personal message with our listeners. All right, we're going to get to Bonnie in just a moment.
Get your local up-to-date news from Korea and abroad right here on Morning Wave in Busan with Catherine. Stay tuned.
It's time for the health. We have Bonnie here in all black. Apparently, we left Haley off our little list today. Because Sue was in all black. You, even our producer who's off camera, all black.
Yeah.
Because Haley just loves standing out. Yes. So how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
So today we're talking about kitchen mishaps.
Oh.
Do you have any?
Okay, so I don't know if this counts as a mishap, but this is something that I did learn in the kitchen to do. I was making guacamole and wanted to make it a little spicy, so I was chopping up some peppers, and then I was going to like a friend's birthday party. So after I chopped the peppers, I went and washed my face to get ready. And my whole face started burning and turned bright red and like swelled up. And this pepper was so spicy.
Oh my gosh.
And my fingers had been all over it because I was like chopping it up really fine. So all the oils. I learned the lesson. Do not wash your face. Touch your face or your eyes after chopping chili peppers.
Oh, I've committed the same mistake of like kind of like slightly wiping something off my eye. Stupid.
Oh, I'd rubbed my fingers all over my face. So I showed up to this party and my face was just swollen and red, and everybody was like, "Are you okay?" So I had to tell them because no amount of makeup could fix this. But,
right.
But yeah, it was a lesson learned.
And the thing is, it takes a while. I've I love making like salsa, anything with like hot, peppers. So even if you wash your hands like 2-3 times, it's still there.
Yeah.
So
same with your face. So.
Yes. What are we going to dive into today?
Okay, so today is kind of like a follow-up from last week, which we covered the master cleanse,
So
which
how'd
I was
it go?
in.
So give us a conclusion to the story.
Well, I survived, and you know what? 6 days, 6 full days, and I mean, I really, like I said, it wasn't my first time around. It was my 5th time doing it, and I love it. I feel really good after it. I'm motivated to eat really healthy and well because I don't want to put bad things back in my body after fasting. Those 6 days were not easy, I will say. So after going through that, I don't want to put bad things back in. So I loved it.
Okay.
Are you inspired? Are you going to try it?
Actually, Bonnie gave me a little taste like after the broadcast, like in her little mason jar. And it was like actually really good. It's everything that I love. Like I love lemon. I love anything spicy. And it had enough of the sweet maple taste where like I could have it for a drink like all the time, but then like if that's all you can do, right? Drink that. That's the challenge.
It helps that it does taste good. It's like a spicy lemonade, fresh lemonade too.
That's true. So I might.
I wish you luck. Well, so anyways, through that, and also right now it is Ramadan, so people are fasting. I have a couple friends who are Muslim, and during Ramadan it involves fasting from sunrise to sundown, including prayer, reflection, community as well. But because of that, I wanted to cover fasting as a whole topic. And fasting, what it is just restraining from eating solid foods for any given amount of time. And fasting kind of became trendy in the like diet fitness world. Some people were trying to do it just to lose weight, but it's also used in different cultures, religions, like I said, in Ramadan as well. So there's also health benefits, of course. So I'm not promoting fasting to everybody. I'm not saying go ahead and do it right now, but I wanted to bring you some benefits of it, and then you guys go do your own research, of course, and find what fits for you.
And for all of our Korean listeners out there, fasting meaning 금식, like meaning like no food. Yes, lack of food.
Yes. So the benefits I'll go over promoted are outlined in healthline.com, so you can go kind of do your own research and they go into more detail, but I'll bring you just the gist of all of them. But the first one promotes blood sugar control, and I have been kind of preaching on this for the last couple months or so about your glucose levels, your blood sugar levels, how we can reduce those and how we can reduce those spikes. So fasting is also a way that we can reduce those blood sugar spikes. So this is also good for people who might be at risk for diabetes. And a study in 2023 with 209 people found intermittent fasting 3 days a week could reduce your risk of type 2 diabetes. So this also lowers those blood sugar spikes that we talk about and those crashes. And like I've said before in previous episodes, those blood sugar spikes and crashes cause inflammation, which can also cause a myriad of other diseases or illnesses in your body. So that's what we want to prevent. So the fasting also can fight inflammation, and research shows that this can cause heart disease, cancer, things like rheumatoid arthritis. So many different kinds of diseases that the fasting can help prevent. Also can improve your blood pressure. So this is great for your heart health. Heart disease is considered the leading cause of death worldwide. And one of the things that can prevent it, diet and lifestyle. So fasting can be one of the ways that you can prevent this. And studies found that alternate day fasting can reduce your cholesterol levels and your LDL levels, which is that bad cholesterol.
So like fasting one day on, fasting one day off. Is that what you mean?
Yes. And then also fasting can boost your brain function. So this can prevent neurodegenerative disorders like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. So if you are aging, getting older, and you're kind of worried about this, fasting might be one of those things that you might try out, and this will improve your brain health. Now, this next one, this is why a lot of people go into fasting, and this is losing weight. So study found that intermittent fasting was more effective in weight loss than actually just continuous calorie restriction. Because it increases your metabolism. So this means fasting is, not eating for a certain amount of period of time, and intermittent fasting can be a different a portion of hours. So maybe you're eating for 7 hours a day and or 8 hours a day, and so you can kind of pick whichever one you want. But in doing this, instead of just lowering your total amount of calories, so dieting essentially. When people diet, they try to lessen their calorie intake. So they'll be eating foods that are very low in calories or just kind of minimizing the amount of calories that they intake throughout the whole day.
Sure.
But fasting has been seen to have more or better effects for weight loss than doing that, than the dieting.
Sure.
And part of this reason is because after 12 hours of not eating, your body enters this stage of ketosis. So this is where your body uses the fat that has been stored instead of going to the carbohydrates.
That's
that
like
you
the
have
science
eaten.
behind it, right?
Yes. So that stage of ketosis, you're burning the fat in your body. And then once you're at 16 to 18 hours of fasting, you're in full ketosis.
Yes.
So at that point, fasting kind of generally becomes a little bit easier and your body has gotten used to that not eating portion, and you've kind of gone over that hump of like starvation. Oh my gosh, I really, really want to eat.
Right.
So it does get a little bit better. And also at this point, you can kind of gain some mental clarity. And this is where some people say, oh, during fasting, you get this like enlightenment.
Yes.
We've kind of heard this, or maybe you start going a little crazy. I don't know. It can be dependent on the person.
Sure.
But sometimes people do say, fasting, it's a mental challenge as well.
Right.
So because your body's not using that energy to digest your food, you're kind of clear. Your body and your mind get a little bit clear, and you can think a little bit clearer. So, But there's some science behind this as well, because your brain, this brain-derived neurotrophic factor, it is called BDNF. It is a protein that your brain makes to protect the existing brain cells.
Okay.
So this increases during fasting, during that ketosis period. So this also encourages growth of new brain pathways, which can enhance your learning and boost your mood.
Sure.
So all great things involving brain health.
Right. And I do want to go over a term because you mentioned intermittent fasting in Korean. That's 간헐적 단식. That's what we're talking about, where you can, have different hours.
Yes.
Like the 16-8, I think that's quite popular, where you, fast for 16 hours and you have like an 8-hour eating window,
period.
right?
Yes.
Or you can have the alternative day where you fast one day and then eat regularly but healthy on the other days, right?
Yes.
So they're all different types.
To be effective, of course, healthy. Yes.
Yes. Indeed. So tell us a little bit more.
So another great health benefit of fasting can be increased growth hormone secretion, that HGH. HGH is a protein hormone, which is the main hormone involved in metabolism and muscle growth.
Yes.
So an article review found that fasting for 37.5 hours can increase your HGH levels by up to as much as 10%. So a pretty big amount.
Yes.
Also can extend your longevity, which means your lifespan. So periodic fasting can increase the diversity of helpful bacteria in the gut microbiome. So great for your gut health, which can extend your lifespan and also delay disease onset.
Sure.
So cell turnover can happen through the process called autophagy. Sorry, guys, my pronunciation is maybe not right. But where the cells offload parts that aren't useful anymore and create new cells. So that cell turnover. So your body is kind of in that state where it's saying, okay, what can we clean out of our cells? What do we not really need, or what is not serving us anymore? So it clears those unused or unnecessary parts, and then it regrows or regenerates healthy parts. So this is where also people say fasting can kind of regenerate your bad cells.
Right.
And then this is really, really awesome. A great health benefit, cancer prevention, of course.
And this is from the American Cancer Society. So this is not just, our opinion.
Yes. So the journal actually published and found that intermittent fasting can prevent cancer and also decrease tumor growth and actually aid in the effectiveness of chemotherapy for cancer patients.
Yes.
So like we kind of went over one type of fasting, intermittent fasting, but there are a lot of different kinds and types of fasting.
Such as
water fasting, where you only drink water, juice fasting, where you only drink a vegetable or fruit juice. And this one I want to say I kind of don't recommend only fruit juice just because there's a lot of sugar in just fruit juice. So I wouldn't recommend this one too much.
Okay.
But there is partial fasting. So that's kind of what I did, was only eliminating all like whole foods, but I still was drinking and some lemon juice, maple syrup. So partial fasting can be used and sometimes often used for allergy research if you might be allergic to something.
Okay.
Like eliminating all gluten or things like that.
Right.
So always check with your doctor if you have any kind of medical condition before you start anything like this, and do your own research. But I hope I gave you a little bit of insight on the benefits to fasting
Well,
for you.
thank you for going over the ins and outs for us. And of course, a lot of literally food for thought for listeners who might have been considering it. Maybe some people have already done it, right?
Yeah.
So thank you for this one. And of course, we'll check in with you next week. Thank you, Bonnie.
Yes, have a good day.
All right, it's time to wrap things up for this Tuesday morning. Kind of feeling like a Monday, but guess what? It's Tuesday. Wishing you a safe and wonderful day. It Runs Through Me by Tom Misch. Enjoy. Have a good one. Bye, everybody.
I love the way it flows, I love the way it grows. There's something in this sound that takes me far. It's like a special song, can move my mood along. What I cannot say you'll hear through my guitar. She told me at the bass line, and everything will be alright. She told me that the groove is mine, it will take us through the night. And where I'll go, can't explain, I'll never know. But it's beautiful, you can't take this away from me. The way I hear the melody, the way it's bringing clarity, running through me. You can't take this away from me. Oh, the way I hear the melody, the way it's bringing clarity, running through me. I love the way it sings, all the joy that it brings. Remember skating down the road towards the park, I could never say no, you with that summer glow. The music gives me sun when winter starts. She told me at the baseline, everything will be alright. She told me that the beat is mine, it will rock us through the night. And where I go, can't explain, I'll never know. But it's beautiful, you can't take this away from me. Oh, the way I hear the melody, the waves bring clarity, running through me. You can't take this away from me. Oh, the way I hear the melody, the waves bring clarity, running through me. Clarity, running through me. Come on, y'all. You can't take this away from me.